We have with us the Hyundai Creta. Let's check it out. The Creta is Hyundai's current entry-level crossover. It replaced the Venue, which was launched a few years ago by the brand's previous distributor, and so far, it already looks like this is one of their popular models, so let's review it. What we have is the top spec 2023 Hyundai Creta 1.5 GLS IVT, and it's priced at 1,388,000 Philippine pesos. Let's talk exterior first, where we think Hyundai did an excellent job. In front, we see the brand's latest design language with a parametric front grille, first seen on the Tucson, and the hidden LED DRLs, which are not so visible when turned off. The LED headlights and turn signals are mounted on the bumper as well. The overall look of the front is actually very baby Tucson and is one of the sharpest in the segment. By the way, this is the facelift Creta, which if we're not mistaken is still not sold in most markets. On the side, the Creta shows off its bulging wheel arches, which make it appear larger than it actually is. It gives it a very muscular, very SUV look. Other things we'll see here are its 17-inch two-tone alloy wheels wrapped in Kumho tires, and a two-tone color scheme with a black roof. Towards the back, we're still seeing the pre-facelift Creta design, which is quite unique, especially with how the LED taillights look. We like it, but it may not be for everyone. And once you open the tailgate, it reveals we're guessing around 400 liters of space, which can fit about 3 or 4 small pieces of luggage at the same time, which is pretty good for its segment. Under the floor, this also has a full-size spare tire, but do take note that it is only steel. And now we're inside the Hyundai Creta GLS, and as you can see here, I actually really like how this interior looks. It looks a lot like the Tucson as well, just like the front of this vehicle. So we have these two sections over here and the center stack right here in the middle. Of course, it looks really good. Everything looks very well designed. The materials are also actually pretty nice, considering that they're all hard touch plastic. So everything here is plastic, everything, the door panel, dashboard, everything is hard plastic, but they all do feel very solid. Although I'm not a fan of the texture that they used for the brown portions, but at least they do again feel very solid. And also, like I mentioned, we have a two-tone interior for this variant, so it's black and brown. Then I believe we also have another option here for black and white, which is in the brochure of this vehicle. And then going to the steering wheel here, we do have the usual Hyundai steering wheel that we also saw in the Hyundai Stargazer. So it's leather wrapped, it has some silver portions here. Not a fan of the overall design, but it does feel really good. And then it also has lots of adjustment, which is of course very nice. So tilt and telescopic, very nice. And also we have our very dinky weak horn. So that really sounds weird. Doesn't match how this vehicle looks. Then also we have here what Hyundai calls the Supervision instrument cluster. So it's a 10.25-inch screen which shows us our gauges and then various information like our trip computer, our settings, and our tire pressure monitoring system, and also our driver assistance tech, which we'll be talking about later. So it looks really nice. Then it can also change how it looks depending on your drive mode. So we have Eco, Normal, Sport, and Smart mode, and each has their own very unique, very nice looking designs. Then moving here to the center, we do have an 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system. So it's our typical infotainment system from Hyundai and Kia products. So as usual, it's very responsive, and we also have very nice buttons and knobs on the side. And also again, very responsive, very basic interface, which actually makes it very easy to use. And also we have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which are both wireless. I'm not a fan of wireless connections again, but at least so far I've only encountered a problem here once, and it hasn't happened yet. But again, a wired connection is always better, which unfortunately isn't available in this vehicle, unlike in some other vehicles that come with wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Then moving down, we have single zone automatic climate control. It has its own display, it has its own knobs, it has its own buttons, which of course is very much appreciated because they are much easier to use than something that is integrated into a screen. And also I'd like to add that the material they use here around the infotainment and the climate controls are piano black plastic, and thankfully they are not too much, but they will have the tendency to show dust and fingerprints at some point. Then moving further down, we do have a wireless phone charger down here, a USB port, two USB ports by the way, 12-volt power outlet, and of course our gear shifter over here, which actually feels really nice. It's also leather if I'm not mistaken. So this is a typical shifter, so feels pretty good. Then also, if you put it in reverse, it shows our camera on the screen. So the resolution isn't the best, but it does work really well and has guidance lines as well. Then moving further here in the center console, we do have our two cup holders, our electronic parking brake with auto hold function, our drive mode selector, which I already showed you our drive modes earlier, and then an area where you can put some stuff like maybe your key or some coins like we have over here. Also, the cup holders are illuminated, by the way. Then here in the center, we have our armrest, which has a good amount of storage underneath. Then talking about our seats now, they are also really nice, leather wrapped of course for this variant, brown and black just like I mentioned earlier, and they're also very well supportive, so it's actually really nice. They're very comfortable. I didn't find much problem with these seats, especially when we took this on a road trip around Cebu recently. And now we're here at the back of the Creta, and as you can see, there's actually a lot of space over here. Despite the vehicle being a bit smaller than something like a Toyota Corolla Cross, this is still very spacious, a lot more spacious than that vehicle. So as you can see, footroom is actually really nice. So this seat is in my driving position. I'm about 5 feet and 7 inches tall. Then legroom, also pretty good. Knee room, headroom, very good as well. And as for what we can find back here, we do have back pockets behind both front seats. And then we have two aircon vents as well, although we don't have any controls over here, but that's okay considering the price of this vehicle. And then we also have a single USB port and some storage next to that for our phone or wallet or anything. And the seat itself is actually quite comfortable, though I haven't experienced sitting down here during a drive, but right now it does feel really comfortable. And we have the same material as in front. Then materials are also the same here in the door panel, hard touch plastic, everything except the armrest, which is leather. Then we also have here a center armrest with two cup holders, so typical for a vehicle in this class. Very nice. And actually now we can go take this out on the road. And now we're driving the Hyundai Creta, and this is not my first time driving the Creta, because the first time I actually drove it was briefly during our shoot for the first impressions of the Hyundai Stargazer. And also we recently drove this in Cebu during the Hyundai Adventure, so that's the media drive for the Creta and Stargazer, and you can actually watch the video on our channel, so make sure to check that out as well. So anyway, first let's talk about what's under the hood of the Hyundai Creta. So this is powered by a 1.5 liter SmartStream G gasoline engine. It's naturally aspirated, and it produces 114 horsepower and 144 Newton meters of torque that is shared with the Hyundai Stargazer as well, and also paired to a CVT, or what Hyundai calls their intelligent variable transmission. So first let's talk about that CVT, because it's actually really intelligent. So first, when you want to get moving, of course, it's very responsive. So that's something that I really appreciate in this vehicle. It's very responsive. It doesn't have any lag at all. And then it really knows how to put the power down. So once you put your foot on the pedal, it does instantly give you all that power that you need. For considering the fact that this vehicle also has a very small engine, very low power figure compared to some other vehicles in the segment, especially the turbocharged Chinese vehicles, it is really good. And also, when you put it on sport mode, it does mimic fake shift, so it's really good actually, because it feels very real. Unlike other CVTs which mimic shifts, this one feels very real, so that's something that's really nice again. And then when it comes to acceleration, the acceleration itself feels really good, so especially when you're going on normal flat roads, it's really smooth, it's very direct, it's very responsive, so that's something that's really good as well about this vehicle. And then it does have the tendency to feel a bit underpowered when you're overtaking, but it's still pretty good as it is. It's not too bad. It feels a lot like the Honda HR-V, which we also recently reviewed. And also I have to add that the engine does actually sound pretty good, so let's listen to that a bit. So there we go. So it actually sounds pretty good. It doesn't sound like a small engine. Also, I'd like to add that this actually has very good power delivery, so it doesn't feel like you're gonna lose out on anything. It feels really good. Really, that's just really what we can say about this vehicle. It's actually really good. So that really surprised us actually. I'm really saying actually really a lot, but that's really how it is. It really surprised us how this vehicle performs, and it feels a lot different from the Stargazer. And we have to note also that the Hyundai Stargazer is a 7-seater MPV, while this is a small crossover with 5 seats. So considering the fact that they have the same engine, it's really no surprise that this feels a lot better as well. And then when it comes to steering and handling, that's another good thing about this vehicle, because of course It's very light, so that's what you'd expect from a crossover, because you really want to have a light steering. But in this case, it's still also a bit weighted. It's not the best weight, but it still feels really good. Then steering itself is very direct. It's very responsive. There are no delays, which is another great thing about this. Then when it comes to handling, the vehicle is very well behaved. It's very stable even at higher speeds. It's just so nice to drive, really. Body roll itself is very minimal, so that's another good thing about it. Body roll is very minimal, so it's there, but you won't really feel bothered by it. And then when it comes to ride quality and NVH insulation, the Creta does do a decent job in insulating that. So road noise is very well insulated when you're driving inside the city. Once you get into higher speed, it does have the tendency to come in. It will come in, but at the same time, it's not too bad as well. And I kind of expected it already from this kind of vehicle, considering its price as well. It's not something that you really expect will be very well insulated. Considering its price as well, it's really okay as it is. As for its ride quality, that's another good thing, but at the same time, it is a bit weird because most of the time, for the most part, it's actually really smooth. So we'd expect it from a crossover as well. But there are times that it does have the tendency to feel a bit firm. So there is that. But at the same time, it's still very well composed. The vehicle is very composed. So that's just another thing to consider. Then when it comes to vibration, there's really nothing bad about this vehicle. It's really good. It's really quiet. It's really smooth. The engine idles really smoothly. It's just really nice. As for visibility, that's another excellent thing about this vehicle, actually, because the windshield is kind of upright, so that helps a lot with the vehicle's visibility. So it's very easy to see out of this vehicle. You can see the hood really clearly. You have a very good size side mirrors, and also this comes with blind spot monitoring, which are of course very, very helpful. And then for fuel economy, this vehicle is able to do I was able to achieve 14 kilometers per liter inside the city, which is a really good number. And also, most of the time in moderate conditions, you'll be able to achieve around 10 kilometers per liter, which is also quite good already. Once you do get out on the highway, it will give you around 24 kilometers per liter, which is also really, really good. Then before we end this review, let's talk about this vehicle's driver assist features, because this is actually equipped with Hyundai's Smart Sense technology. So that gives it features like autonomous emergency braking, forward collision warning, and blind spot monitoring, lane keep assist, lane departure warning. So this has everything pretty much except adaptive cruise control, which I don't mind, but would be nice to have, considering that it's a bit more expensive than a Honda HR-V, which already has adaptive cruise control. But nevertheless, it's still pretty good. The autonomous emergency braking is actually quite sensitive, if I may say so. It does have the tendency to activate when you do not need it, but I guess it's better to have it and it working like that rather than not have it when you need it, right? And also, I really appreciate the lane keep assist of this, because it's similar to what you'd get from a Honda with their Honda Sensing. So it actually can steer the vehicle really well, really smoothly. You can feel confident while using it, although of course always keep your hands on the wheel when driving. So still, it is pretty good, and I think it's one of the best that you can get right now in the market when it comes to those advanced driver assist systems. The Hyundai Creta is a great product. It offers a lot when it comes to styling, comfort, tech and safety, and is matched with decent performance. In all honesty though, it does not have much to set it apart from its rivals, but still, we believe that despite this not being the most perfect, it's a smart choice, and one you will not regret.